Hey, Robin. Sorry, my cord just got caught on my camera's length. I was looking. Yes, I would agree with Andrew. It looks like you have your white balance set. I would agree. It looks like it's set to incandescent. If you have a tungsten mode, that might be it too, because these are really, really blue. And so blue, in fact, you'll have a difficult time pulling back all of your tones when you go into post, if you ever choose to, for these, and correct the white balance. And then also, yes, you are having some exposure problems. So I went to go look at your meter shots, and unfortunately, these meter shots are not meter use shots. They are pictures of your meter. They are not telling me exactly how you're using your meter. So I'll tell you how you should be using your meter. So so this is overexposed, your final here. And so what you would have done to get a better exposure for this is you would have probably used your meter, and frankly, in two different modes. Because let's see if I can find this in your contact sheets. Where is that image in your contact sheets? Ah, there it is. Is that it? No, here it is. It's right here. Okay, great. So that's it right there. So what we have here is we have something that's in direct diffused soft light here, the tower, and then something that's in shadow, right? And so what you would have wanted to do is take an incident meter reading in the shadow if you cared to expose, like to know what a good exposure for the shadows would be to yield detail. But then, you know, you would have wanted to also take an incident meter reading of something in the same quality of light as that. If you couldn't find it, then you would have to switch to reflective or detailed reflective and take it in detailed or reflective mode. But then in that case, you need to point the meter at something that is in fact of medium gray local value. And I don't know if I see anything here that's medium gray. The brickwork might be, but it's difficult for me to tell because I'm not getting accurate view because this is so blue. I bet it is. So you would have really, ideally, to really use your meter at its technical best for, let's go back to that final shot. For this shot, you would have done incident down here, and you would have made a note of the exposure settings your meter gave you. And then up here, you would have, you know, focused it on detailed metering on a bit of the red brick up here someplace. And that's probably going to be of a local gray value. You would have made note of the reflective mode settings then. And you would have figured out how many stops difference you had between this, whatever you metered up here, and whatever you metered down here, and then probably find a compromise between the two. That's what would have worked. And then in every case, when you're using your meter, it looks like, I just can't tell here if you're using in reflective or incident. You've got the lumisphere pointing away from you, so I just don't know. I'm assuming that you're using it in incident because the lumisphere would be pointing away from you as you are facing it towards the camera so you can read the settings. So like here, again, you know, you would have metered in the shadows and then you would have metered in the bright light and then taken a compromise of the two. This is just feeling a bit overexposed. And then here, you would just take an incident meter reading here, probably in the brighter diffused light, just the shadows over here, and then one here in the darker, deeper shadows, and figured out how you wanted to expose from there. This one feels a bit underexposed, actually. I don't know, it might be spot on. It's just that it's so blue. The white balance is so blue, it's really difficult for me to tell if the exposure is really spot on or not. So that would be my feedback. That being said, I really enjoyed looking at your contact sheets. You have just some fantastic compositions here that I really enjoyed looking at. And you managed, actually, in some of these tower shots to really get the tower perfectly parallel to the frame of the image, which is just fantastic and difficult to do with just a natural focal length lens. Sometimes you're using a little bit of a short lens, but it's working pretty well. Yeah. So I think you just need to work with your meter a little bit more. And remember, that meter it's a fine-tuned tool. And so generally for any scene, even if you're just setting up something in the studio, it's not enough to take just one meter reading. You're going to have to take several and then come up with a compromise. You know, you meter the shadows and you meter the highlights. Maybe you even meter the midtones. And then you decide what you want to prioritize for in the exposure that you ultimately choose or compromise on. I hope that makes sense. And then also, like I said, watch your white balance in your camera. It's definitely set to the wrong white balance right now. And that was probably an oversight. My guess is that you were thinking really hard about your meter and your compositions and just neglected your white balance altogether. So watch that, okay? Thank you, Robin.